Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Okay, so are you ready to dive deep? Because today we're tackling someone who's basically a legend in the world of AI, Andrew Ng.
Oh, you're not kidding. You weren't kidding with that stack of articles you sent over either. I'm ready, though. Always love getting into the minds that are literally shaping the future.
Right. I mean, you don't meet someone who helped build Google Brain every day.
And then led AI at Baidu on top of that.
Oh, yeah. And don't forget founding Coursera. Talk about some serious AI street cred.
Absolutely. You know what I find fascinating about Eng, though? It's like he's just as passionate about making AI accessible to everyone as he is about all those groundbreaking advancements.
It's true. He really wants to bridge that gap between, like, the super complex algorithms and actually using them in the real world.
Exactly.
And speaking of real-world applications, did you see those autonomous helicopters he worked on back at Stanford?
How could I forget those?
Like, that's straight out of a sci-fi movie. Those things actually flew themselves.
It's even cooler than you might think. Picture this. Eng and his team were basically teaching these helicopters how to think for themselves, right? Allowing them to perform these complex maneuvers totally autonomously.
Wow. So they were actually autonomous.
Oh, yeah. Now, they weren't exactly like delivering mail or anything.
Okay.
But the research was still groundbreaking. They were pushing the boundaries of what AI could even do way back then.
See, that's what gets me. That's light years ahead of my Roomba randomly bumping into the furniture.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like those early projects at Stanford, they were really laying the groundwork for some of his later, even bigger stuff.
Exactly. And it wasn't just the helicopters either. During his time at Stanford, he was also super involved in this project called STARE.
STARE.
Yeah, the Stanford Artificial Intelligence Robot Project.
Okay.
Really rolls off the tongue, right?
Catchy.
Yeah.
So what was STARE all about?
So this project was all about creating a robot, but not just any robot. This one had to be able to understand and interact with the world in a way that was way more human-like than anything they had at the time.
Okay, now that's got me picturing some seriously futuristic robots. Did STARE actually work? Did they reach that goal?
So STARE itself was mainly a research project. But here's the thing, it actually led to the development of something you've probably heard of, ROS, the Robot Operating System.
Okay, yeah, that rings a bell.
And it's open source now. Researchers and companies all over the world use it.
Hold on, so are you saying that the tech behind all those crazy advanced robots we keep hearing about, Ng had a hand in that?
Oh, absolutely. ROS is like the backbone for how we program and control robots now across tons of industries, manufacturing, healthcare, you name it. It just goes to show the impact of Ng's work, even from way back then.
That's insane. I had no idea. Okay, so we've gone from autonomous helicopters to software that's basically running the robot world, and this is just his Stanford years.
Right.
What did he do next?
Well, buckle up, because after Stanford, he took his talents to Google, where he co-founded and led Google Brain.
Google Brain. I mean, even I've heard of Google Brain, and I'm kind of a tech dinosaur.
That's saying something.
Did they do something with Google, like cats? And YouTube?
They did. You're thinking of the Google Cat experiment back in 2012. It caused a huge stir in the AI world. They basically took an artificial neural network and just unleashed it on millions of images from YouTube.
Okay.
And the crazy part, the AI taught itself to recognize cats.
Hold on. It learned what a cat was just by watching YouTube videos. How is that even possible?
That's the beauty of deep learning. They just fed this neural network this massive amount of images, and it just started recognizing patterns, shapes, characteristics, the whole 9 miles. It basically figured out cat all on its own.
Okay, that's both super impressive and a little creepy, if I'm being honest.
Right.
Like, part of me is now kind of scared of what YouTube's going to recommend to me, but the other part of me is like, how does that even work? This deep learning thing that's like, next level stuff.
It totally revolutionized things. The Google Cat experiment was a huge breakthrough for deep learning and for computer vision in general. It really paved the way for all the AI-powered image recognition we see everywhere today.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we've got Ng pushing the limits at Stanford, then he's making waves at Google with deep learning. The man clearly can't stop innovating. But how does someone go from teaching AI to recognize cats to founding an online education platform like Coursera? That seems like a pretty big jump.
It does seem that way on the surface, right?
Yeah.
But there's actually a common thread running through all his work.
Yeah.
His passion for making knowledge accessible.
I mean, you're right. You don't hear about that side of these big tech guys very often. He was already experimenting with online learning at Stanford even before Coursera was even a thing.
Exactly.
What was he doing?
So he started by just posting his Stanford machine learning lectures online, like free for everyone with internet access.
Seriously?
Yeah, and guess what? People loved them.
What? No way.
I know, right? He had students from all over the world tuning in.
It's like he accidentally created a global classroom.
Pretty much. That's actually kind of how Coursera was born. That experience, plus the whole online education movement that was taking off at the time, it just sparked an idea. And realized that the traditional way of doing education, it could be totally revolutionized. Learning could be accessible to anyone, anywhere, anytime.
And Coursera just exploded.
Mm.
Millions of people have taken his machine learning course, including me. It's pretty wild to think that one course could have that kind of global impact.
It really speaks to his belief in the power of knowledge, right? He's not content with just keeping AI within the walls of these elite universities or tech companies. He wants everyone to have access, to be a part of it.
And speaking of being a part of the things, what about his move to Baidu? That always kind of blew my mind. Talk about a different world, going from Silicon Valley to leading AI for a major Chinese tech company. That's bold.
It really was. And as chief scientist at Baidu, N was suddenly thrown into the world of search engines, voice assistants, and everything AI, but on a massive, massive scale.
So what were some of the highlights of his time at Baidu? Did he keep going deeper into deep learning there?
Oh, absolutely. He dove headfirst into deep learning at Baidu. One of his biggest achievements there was this speech recognition system called Deep Speech 2. It was a really big deal in the AI world.
Deep Speech 2. Okay, yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue. Was that another one of those massive data projects? Like the Google Cat thing?
You know it. It's like they took the Google Cat idea and applied it to speech recognition. Deep Speech 2 was trained on this huge data set of Mandarin Chinese audio, pushed to the boundaries of what AI could do with language.
Mandarin Chinese. Wow. It seems like so much of the AI development we hear about is focused on English. Were there any unique challenges working with a different language like that?
Definitely. I mean, Mandarin Chinese is tricky, right? The tonal nature, the characters. It was a whole different ballgame for the AI systems back then. But that's actually what made Deep Speech 2 so groundbreaking. The system was able to transcribe Mandarin with incredibly low error rates, even in noisy environments. It proved that deep learning could handle these language barriers that people thought were impossible to overcome.
That's amazing. It really shows you how AI can bridge those gaps between cultures and languages. It's more than just a cool tech tool.
Yeah.
So did Ng's experience at Baidu, did that end up shaping his overall vision for AI?
Oh, without a doubt. His time at Google really solidified his deep learning expertise, but Baidu showed him the global impact AI could have. He saw how it could be used to solve problems on a massive scale and actually touch the lives of millions of people. That experience, it stuck with him. In fact, not long after he came back to the US, he launched DeepLearning.AI.
So he went from leading this huge AI team at Baidu right back into the world of education. Do you think he missed being in the classroom?
I think it's more than just missing teaching. It goes back to that passion we talked about, that drive to make AI knowledge accessible to everyone. DeepLearning.AI was like taking his Coursera mission to a whole new level, making advanced AI concepts accessible to even more people.
So we're talking specialized courses and resources that are laser-focused on deep learning.
Exactly. He created this clear learning path so that anyone, no matter their background, could learn about and use deep learning concepts. He was empowering people to not just understand AI, but to actually shape its future.
From Stanford lectures to a global platform, and now this hyper-focused deep learning resource, this guy clearly doesn't believe in taking breaks. What came next for Andrew Ng?
You're telling me. So right around the same time that he launched DeepLearning.AI, he also founded Landing.AI. This company, though, this one focused on a totally different side of artificial intelligence, manufacturing.
Okay, now you've got me really intrigued. I always think of AI in terms of like self-driving cars or those crazy realistic deepfakes. What does AI have to do with manufacturing? Are we talking robots taking over factories?
Not quite robots taking over, not yet at least. Landing.AI is all about using the power of AI, especially computer vision, to change how things work on the factory floor.
Okay.
Imagine systems that can see tiny defects, stuff the human eye would totally miss, or systems that can make those production lines run as efficiently as possible in real time. We're even talking about AI that can predict when equipment's about to fail before it actually happens.
Wow, so it's like giving these factories a sixth sense. Talk about next-level efficiency. It seems like Eng just has this amazing ability to see how AI can be applied to pretty much any field.
And it goes even beyond specific applications. He's become a big advocate for something called data-centric AI, which is a whole new way of thinking about how we build these AI systems in the first place.
Data-centric AI. That's a new one. What's that all about?
So for a long time, the focus in AI was all about building bigger and more complex algorithms, right? But Eng's argument is that we've hit a point where the data itself, the stuff we feed into these algorithms, is just as important, maybe even more important than the algorithms themselves.
So it's like having the most powerful computer in the world. But if you're feeding it bad information, it's not going to do you much good.
Exactly. Data-centric AI is all about emphasizing how important it is to have high-quality data. Clean, well-labeled data to train these systems. It's making sure that the information we give them is accurate, it's relevant, and it's structured in a way that they can actually learn from.
It sounds like common sense when you put it like that.
Yeah.
But I can imagine that with so much data being generated these days, keeping it all high quality must be a nightmare.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge challenge, but N truly believes it's the key. If we want to build AI systems that we can rely on, systems that are unbiased, systems that are going to make a positive impact, it has to start with the data.
So we've got N pushing boundaries with deep learning. He's fighting for wider access to AI education. And now he's championing this whole new data-centric approach to AI. Is there anything this guy hasn't done in the world of AI?
Well, you've clearly done your research. You're right, it seems like he's had a hand in just about every part of this field. But his latest move, that one really shook things up in the tech world. Remember that little company called Amazon?
Who doesn't know Amazon these days? What does Andrew Ng have to do with everyone's favorite online shopping giant?
Just this year, in 2024, he joined their board of directors.
Wow. Now that's a power move. From Google Brain to Baidu to founding multiple companies, and now he's on the board of Amazon. What does that even mean for Ng?
Yeah.
For Amazon? For the future of me buying way too much stuff online? Seriously, joining Amazon's board, that's a huge deal. It's not like Amazon's new to AI or anything. They use it for everything already.
Yeah.
I mean, those recommendations, spot on. And don't even get me started on the robots in their warehouses.
Right.
So why bring someone like Ng in? What's the big deal?
It's brilliant if you think about it. Amazon's making a statement. They're not just keeping up with AI, they want to dominate AI-powered e-commerce.
And who better to lead the charge than Andrew Ng? It's like they're building the ultimate AI dream team.
Yeah.
But how is this going to affect, like, regular people shopping online? Am I going to get my own personal AI stylist picking out clothes for me on Amazon now?
Wouldn't that be something? The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing when you really think about it. Like, imagine opening the Amazon app and boom, the recommendations are so good, so personalized. It's like the AI knows what you want before you do.
Okay, that's kind of scary, but also amazing.
Or think about it this way. AI could optimize delivery routes constantly.
So even faster shipping. Yes,
Right.
please.
Right.
But it's more than just making things faster and more convenient, though, right? We were just talking about how important N's whole data-centric AI philosophy is.
Yeah.
Could this change how Amazon handles all the ethical stuff, data
Right.
privacy, all of that?
For sure. That's a huge part of it. See, with Eng's focus on quality data and building AI responsibly, this could be huge for setting a new standard for the entire industry.
It's like we're watching online shopping as we know it change right before our eyes.
Right.
And it all started with some helicopters learning to fly themselves at Stanford. Crazy, right? We've covered so much ground in this deep dive. Self-flying robots, online classrooms taking over the world, and now the future of buying pretty much anything with a click. So where does that leave us? What are the big takeaways you hope listeners will remember about Andrew Ng and all the amazing things he's done?
I think the biggest takeaway here is that Andrew Ng's whole career, it proves that AI isn't just some abstract thing, you know? It's not just these crazy complex algorithms that scientists are messing with in a lab somewhere. It's a force that's already changing the world around us. It's in how we learn new things, how we work, even how we shop for, well, everything.
He's broken down so many barriers in the field, making knowledge and resources available to pretty much anyone who wants to learn, and then challenging those traditional ways of thinking with his data-centric approach. Now he's even impacting how some of the biggest companies in the world use AI. That's inspiring no matter what field you're in.
Exactly. And it really highlights that AI isn't just about technical skills, it's about having a vision, about people working together, and it's about making sure that we're using this incredibly powerful technology to make the world a better place. That's something we can all learn from.
It really gets you thinking what other breakthroughs are just around the corner. And with people like Andrew Ng leading the way, the future of AI is looking pretty bright.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
The field is constantly evolving, right? And it's people like Andrew Ng who are pushing those boundaries, pushing what's possible, and inspiring the next generation of innovators to do even more.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this. What role will you play in shaping the future of AI? Because let's be real, this technology is only going to become more intertwined with our lives. Think about it.
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.